Yes, people, welcome back to the Premier League Matchweek 6. And on today's episode, as you know what the Premier League review is, this is where we bring you all the games and we just give you a little bit of what we think, who's going to win, and some predictions. So let's jump into it right away. Manchester United versus Brentford, another big one. As we see Chelsea running down to Brighton, we see Crystal Palace as Oliver Glasner's taking on Liverpool. And yes, Man City looking for their other win as they play Burnley. But yes, another big game. Can Thomas Frank keep that train rolling as Tottenham plays Wolves? And then Unai Emery kind of losing his dressing room. So how is he going to deal with that? And let's talk about Arsenal heading down to St. James's Park. Can Arteta not be as negative, and will he go after Newcastle? But yes, Everton playing West Ham, the game that we all want to see, because is this the game Graham Potter gets sacked? And especially him losing to his predecessor. So let's jump into it right away. Listen, I don't really know what to tell you about this game, right? But Manchester United versus Brentford is going to be a very exciting game. A lot of intensity. Both teams need to win. Manchester United going after their second win in consecutive wins in the Premier League, the first time on the Amorim, which is embarrassing. But yeah, we have a very, very important game because Brentford manager needs a win. United manager needs a win, and both managers are desperate, and both teams are desperate to try to catch some sort of run of form. Now, Chelsea playing Brighton is a very exciting game as well. You know, when you have to think about the way Chelsea is running the club, I just don't like what's happening with Raheem Sterling. The way they're treating Sterling is like he's never played a professional game before, or he's never helped Chelsea done anything. And what's worse about that situation for me personally is that the way they are with Sterling is like they're just talking about the money, but they're not really talking about how hard he worked to get to that level, how much suffering he had to go through to be able to get to that level. And then everyone just wants him to just stop making the money that he's worked hard his whole life to make. Now, all these people telling him about money is criticizing him whilst making money. You see what I mean? So it doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense at all, the point that they're trying to say, hey, Sterling, take a pay cut. But none of them go into ESPN, Fox, Sky, none of them, and take pay cuts. If anything, they make too much money to talk about people that they don't even know. You know what I mean? And it's just ridiculous to hear sometimes when the media have to talk about players and all they have to do is throw money in their face. People, inflation is a real thing. Study economics, it is a real thing. As time goes on, the value of money changes, and you no longer, it's the same. $100 50 years ago, is it the same as $100 value now? You know, so it's not the same. People used to work for cents. Now people work for millions. It's just what it is. So stop trying to always talk about money. These ex-players try to throw money out there. Oh, they never made this money. They never made this money. But at the time, the money that you guys were making were probably the equivalent of what the money is now in value. So we need to just be careful the way we talk about some of these players. But yeah, Oliver Glasner heading down to Liverpool. Well, not heading down, but Liverpool heading to Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. And this is going to be a very, very intriguing game. Real good managers, really good teams. Even if Crystal Palace team might not have any glory players, they are very, very interesting team to watch. And honestly, I'm so happy to be a part of actually seeing what Crystal Palace is doing right now, and having a manager that's fearless, that's using the tools that he has to build such a really good team. Young, dynamic, quick, full of pace. You know, there's so many things I like about Crystal Palace. How they can change the way they play. Sometimes they can sit back and hit you. Sometimes they can press you high. Sometimes they can even press you in the middle. They're very much tactically adaptive. And when I see a team like that, it excites me a lot, because Liverpool is kind of just one way of playing. Whereas you have Crystal Palace that have a few ways of playing. Just like when you think about a team like Tottenham now, who actually plays in very different ways. Which is why I think Thomas Frank is such a really, really good manager. And he's showing that right now that he's at Tottenham. Now, Man City and the way Man City is going about playing against Burnley, I think Man City is probably going to hit Burnley at least 3-5. Honestly, there's no way I see Burnley getting a result out of this game. So yes, Burnley's been playing well. Yes, Scott Parker's been playing well. But the fact that Chukwuzeku, that's his name. I can't remember his name. I always butcher this poor guy's name. But the mere fact that he is injured, not injured, but he received the red card in the game, I think that he's going to be an issue for Burnley in the middle of the park. And City, that's where their strength is, and I feel like they're just going to dominate the game, especially at the Etihad, where they can stretch the pitch, where they can keep the ball, where Burnley might probably give them more of the ball. I think they actually might cause a lot of problem. You know, Haaland is hitting a mad run of form. Jeremy Doku is hitting a mad run of form. And now, at the moment, those two players and Foden, I think the three of them are unstoppable. And I like that Pep is playing Foden behind the striker and not so much coming off of one of the wings. And it's actually exceptional to see him and Bernardo Silva switching all that time. And yeah, man, I'm very excited to see what happens going forward for this team, especially now Foden's comeback, the kind of goal he's scoring, even in the Carabao Cup. It's beautiful to see, and I'm so happy for Phil. Now, Nottingham Forest playing Sunderland, and Postecoglou looking for a win again, and I just think, as much as people try to hype up Ange Postecoglou, to me, Ange Postecoglou isn't a good enough manager to be in the Premier League. I don't care how much Europa Leagues he's win. One. In the Celtics, yeah, he did whatever, but range, whatever. I just don't think this man is good enough to be a Premier League manager. And every time I see him manage a Premier League team, I know, and he proves to me, he's not good enough. Now, any which way, you have Wood and Igor fighting for a spot. You know, he scored 2 goals in the week, Igor, and he looks really fresh, dynamic, comes and get the ball, runs in behind well, holds up the play well, and he's youthful and jubilant, and I think it's a good thing for Ange Postecoglou to have. Now, can he continuously get the best out of both players? We'll see what happens. You know, Forest had a 2-2 draw with Betis in the week. Anthony Dos Santos, again, people say he can't play against Premier League teams, but Ange Postecoglou team allowed him to do what he do best, cut inside and get onto the back post and score a goal. So, at the end of the day, I'm just still not convinced by Ange Postecoglou. But on the other side, Sunderland as well probably is going on their way down. You know, they're actually struggling for a run of form. I don't think Sunderland is going to be able to stay in the Premier League as much as they've bought players, and I think they've bought some quality and Dingra and those players. I just think for some reason, right, the way I see Burnley playing, as much as people try to talk Burnley down, I think Burnley have a bigger chance than Sunderland, but that's just me. And Tottenham, again, as I said, Thomas Frank evolving, Rupert Patricio is really as well making Wolves play a better brand of football, but I feel like he needs a bit of help in the market. And when you don't give managers help in the market, they struggle. Just like what happening now for the other guy, like a Unai Emery, who is struggling with Fulham at the moment. Who's struggling with Aston Villa, you know, losing the dressing room because he spoke a few ways about some players. He's not happy with his squad. When you look like when Rashford came in, how quickly he got rid of Watkins. Then he was willing to sell Watkins in January to Arsenal, in the summer to United. So all these things I just feel like has put him in a situation. And then him and Morgan Rogers getting into it, talking about him telling Morgan Rogers to, you know, get better and wake up and, you know, get back humble and hungry to be a top player. And I think that is a big message by Emery, and it shows that Emery is in a bit of trouble with his locker room. Now, I hope nothing happens to Unai Emery, because I'm a really big fan of Unai Emery. And Unai Emery, for me, is one of the best managers in the world. Maybe he might not have a lot of trophies, but in terms of what he does, the project he takes up, how he builds teams, how he take them from nothing to make them something, make them competitive every time. It's just amazing to see, and how quick he does it. But he just always falls short in this area where it's time to take that next step to become that elite manager. Now, I don't know if it's because he's never had really high quality players, so the fact where he's like, okay, I can win with this team for real. Or is it the point that he doesn't really do well with those high quality players and usually he falls out with those players? So it's just a lot of things that we have to see, and I hope that he can fix that issue, and because I don't want him to leave the league. Now on the other side again, another real good manager in Marco Silva. High quality, Fulham's playing very good football. Even if, Fulham's just that team that will pick up a good result, odd result, bad result, draw here, win. They just have inconsistent games, and that's just the club, and that's okay. It's okay to have teams that play for 8th and 10th. Those teams are okay in the league. They make the league interesting. They make the league that other teams have to compete very hard to come get those places. And at the end of the day, you need those teams in the league. Now, Arsenal going down to Newcastle, another big game for me personally. I'm very happy to see Arsenal having a good run of form. As much as people want to hate on Arsenal is winning games. 1-0, 2-0, 0, 1-0, 3-1, it don't matter. 3 points, they get in 1 point. They have a loss against any of their rivals, and they're picking up points against the lower opposition. So at the moment, they're actually in a good run. They win the Champions League game, they win the Carabao Cup game, they're still in all competitions. Whoop-de-whoop, Arsenal fans. So relax, let the team build. You have a lot of new players trying to gel with each other, haven't played with each other in a long time. So let us give them a chance to develop and build, and you create some chemistry. You can't think because they're coming into a team that was doing well mean that new players are just going to hit run of form. Some players have to take a while to build into the league, and that's why you're seeing situations like this. But Newcastle as well have a really good striker in Voltamade. Looking good, Wizard can't play until the next international break. So, they have a bit of issue with that. But for me, their midfield is better than Arsenal's. And that's where Arsenal is going to struggle in this game. When I think about all that money Arsenal spent and I look at Newcastle midfield, to be fair, the intensity that Newcastle midfield bring to me, I prefer a lot more than the Arsenal midfield. Even when they have an Odegaard and an Eze and a Rice, if that was their three, I would still prefer a three of Tonali, Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes. Because I know I'm getting work ethic, I'm getting quality, I'm getting pace, I'm getting coverage, I'm getting everything I need in that midfield. And for me, that's one of the most underrated midfields in the Premier League. You put a front line of a Konya Haaland and a Konya Haaland and Mbeumo behind a midfield three of Talali, they win that league every time. And not because of the front line, but because of the midfield. Those guys are such work at Alex. It's unbelievable to see. And that's what Eddie Howe loves, and I respect that about Eddie Howe. He goes and finds players that work hard. But can this game now be the game that sinks Graham Potter down to the hole, where if he loses to David Moyes, if imagine losing to the man that you just got his job, and then losing your job because he beat you in another team. That would be so sad for him. So sad for him. And honestly, I would be quite happy if they are to lose. But I wouldn't be happy for Graham Potter because I feel like he's had a hard run in this football world for the last couple of years with the Chelsea job. He should have never left Brighton. Right now, he would have probably been competing for very big trophies with Brighton right now. Big trophies. Because it's still the way he set up Brighton is why Brighton playing the way they have. Let's not forget the Graham Potter Brighton. Please, let's not forget that team. What a top quality team. But yeah, here's my predictions that I think these are going to be the score. I have United winning 3-0. I have Brighton beating Chelsea 2-1. I have Liverpool and Crystal Palace drawing. I have Leeds beating Bournemouth 3-1. Man City winning 3-0 to Burnley. Nottingham Forest 3-1 to Sunderland. Tottenham winning 2-1. I have Aston Villa picking up another victory, getting 2-1. And then I have Arsenal beating Newcastle, just a little bit getting over the edge there with a 2-1. And I have Everton beating West Ham 3-2. I think that's going to be a very high scoring game because both teams don't want to lose. But yes, people, it's been your boy with a quick review. Sorry it hasn't been the one that is always as detailed as it has. We had to just drop this quick one for you because we have to quickly run on to set right now. So yeah, we had to do this one quick for you. So yes, people, don't forget please to like, share and subscribe to the page. Keep hitting the bell for notifications so we can continue bringing you great content going forward. It's been your boy Yaya. Have a good time. Take care. Ciao.